morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Live on Dominion Television. It's Monday, the 29th of December, 2025, and this is your trusted space for focused conversations and stories that shape our day and our nation. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun.
And I am Samson Balogun. Thank you for choosing to start your morning with us, whether you are watching from home and or maybe on the move or tuned in online. We are glad to have you with us on this show this morning.
Definitely. Today's edition of Daybreak Live is concise and intentional with thoughtful national conversations centered on policy, people, and progress.
And on Daybreak Gist this morning, attention turns to governance and accountability as an aide dismisses claims that the federal government gave Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde 50 billion naira, clarifying that only 30 billion was released.
That's a lot of money. The clarification has stirred public debate, raising questions around transparency, public communication, and the management of intervention funds.
All right, and later on this program this morning, we shift focus to power, representation, and political participation.
On the big story, hosted by Samson Balogun himself, we examine inclusion or illusion, the replace of women and youth in Nigeria's political power structure. Joining the conversation is Fama Omolarake Busari Vincent, convener of Women and Youth Inclusion in Politics, as we interrogate the realities behind political representation in Nigeria.
This is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, and thank you for joining us.
Stay with us as we dive straight into it. Good morning, Samson.
Good morning to you. Yeah, good to have you on the show.
Definitely.
And definitely there's a lot to unpack on this show this morning. But then we must say you had a quite wonderful weekend, if I must say.
Honestly, I think you're spot on. I don't know whether you already seen
it was quite a stretch.
Yeah, but I can say the same for you as well. You look very relaxed.
Well, maybe somehow I got to rest a little bit. But then, at least that's what you've always been wanting.
Definitely. Anyway. It's good to have you back on the
Thank you. Well, then let's talk about the Oyo State government this morning. Recently, former governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, came out to say, look, your governor got 50 billion naira from the federal government as intervention fund just after the bomb blast happened in Bodija in Ibadan. I think that was January 2024. Yeah. And then, you know, it was something that I don't think people really had that information before then. It became more or less like a shock to so many people to say 50 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money. But then after that, the receipts came. You know, there was this back and forth with the people in the People's Democratic Party in Oyo State and said, look, that has to be a lie and a lie. And they asked Fayose to drop a receipt. Yeah. And then it did that. It dropped a receipt of how the money was requested for, not just, I think the total money was around 150-something billion naira, not just Oyo State, but some other states too who requested number one, who requested for a special intervention fund for crises in their numerous states. And then, but then on that list, Oyo State was number one. In fact, it was cropped for you to see, we are only talking about Oyo State. Leave the rest of the state alone. Let's talk about Oyo State. And then, boom. The CPS, the Chief Press Secretary to the Oyo State government, came out yesterday and said, look, yes, we understand that there were requests, but then they did not give us 50 billion. They gave us 30 billion, and the remaining 20 billion was withheld somehow as a form of inducement that, okay, if you can do this for us, then you get the remaining 20 billion, and then we did not go back to get the 20 million. Now, the question that arose yesterday was that, yes, initially you said there was nothing like that. And now you are claiming, oh, you got 30 billion. Where is the place of accountability and transparency in any of this? That's the question people are asking.
Honestly, a lot of Nigerians are really surprised. Let me say people for your state in particular to say that how come we didn't hear anything about this, that a relief fund of about 50 billion naira was received by the Oyo State government. And then one more thing is the fact that, I really did not expect that it would get to this with that. Fayose is going to post receipt. But this is not the first time that something like this will happen. Yeah. And people will post receipt online. But then this is what Oyo State government must do at this point in time. I think in May last year, Punch newspaper reported that about 4.5 billion naira was approved for the victims of
landowners.
Exactly, all of those things. And then according to the essay on media to the governor of Oyo State, that's Dr. Sulaimon, he also said something yesterday when he said that, okay, indeed we received 30 billion, not 50 billion. He said the remainder part of that money was used for road repairs, security upgrades, and then proper burial for people that died in that incident. So we need, maybe at this point in time, Oyo State must do like a proper breakdown of how the money was spent. And then we also need more revelation on this matter, because if Oyo State is saying we received 30 billion and the Fayose posted it, we don't even know where Fayose was able to get access.
It was always going to get the receipts, because there is a freedom of information in the country. You can easily walk into someone of his caliber. I mean, you can easily walk into a parastatal and say, look, I need an information on so thing. The worst that could happen is we'll come back in the next 1 week or maybe in the next few days to get prepared, and then we'll give it to you. I think that was done under the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan administration, that people have the right to ask questions. And when they request for information, they can easily walk in and say, look, I need an information on this, and then it is made available to them.
Yes, and I think also Fayose, needs to do one more thing for us, because there's a problem here. Oyo State is saying we received 30. And then Fayose is saying, okay, 50 billion was disbursed. So we need maybe the receipt or evidence of disbursement, because this particular one that I released is evidence of, request. So we need evidence of disbursement to now balance it, because more revelations will come, more secrets will be leaked in these last few days, of 2025. So we need to balance it. Is it true that 30 billion was received by the federal or by Oyo State government, or 50 billion, so that we can now begin to look at how the National Assembly of Oyo State can maybe start planning on how the breakdown will be done. So because I mean, the people of Oyo State, they deserve to know how that money was spent. The only popular part of that money that we all know was that one was 4.5 billion. So 25.5 billion that is remaining. Yes, the SA is saying, okay, security upgrade, this and that, road repairs and all of those things, but we want to know how the money was spent so that we can balance all of this, honestly.
You see, when the explanation was dropped by the CPS yesterday, it became quite a funny scene where I was sitting and people were asking questions. Okay, if you said 30 billion was released and then 4.something billion was allocated to victims in those areas, you paid hotel bills because most of them were moved to an hotel close by when the whole incident happened, because they could no longer stay in their various apartments. Yes, we understand that. Monies were spent and then 4.something billion was spent. And someone was saying, oh, for road repairs in that area. I mean, how many square meter is all the lands in that area, affected area? And then if roads were constructed in those areas, I mean, how many kilometers of lands would roads say, or I mean, kilometer of roads would they say was constructed in that area? I think a lot of clarity really has to come into all of this. And another thing is, sometimes, governance is not really about you doing the right thing. Most of the times, it's about you doing it the way people want it to be done. Sometimes it might not go down well with them when you take certain decisions, but there will be people rooting for you, saying, oh, the governor took the right step here, did the right thing here. Regardless of the decision, not everyone will be on the same page. But I've seen people defending what the governor has done in this space. Yeah, there are so many times, I want to believe that because one thing I told someone was that if they did not receive an amount, any penny from the federal government, I think the press conference the governor had, I mean the media chat he had in Ibadan, was the right place for him to hit the presidency as regards the request that was made and was never granted. But yes, after that, the receipt came out just like Fayose said. And I want you to tell you that one of the people I know in Nigeria as of now who don't really care about what you say about them is Ayodele Fayose. Now, I've seen people say a lot of things about him. Oh, when you were governor, you did this. Oh, former President Olusegun Obasanjo said this about you. It's not really a time for us to now start throwing stones back and forth. It's about who is in governance. Is accountability there? That's a very big question. Now, if Fayose can get the receipt, I mean, for request, I'm quite sure you'll get the receipt for disbursement. I mean, I'm very sure of that. Unless he wants to back down and doesn't want to talk about this anymore. But the Fayose I know is one that shakes the table. He will never back down. And I still know there's a lot he's going to say about the governor of Oyo State. But let's wait, let's keep our fingers crossed. A lot is still going to happen. But the question is, when the governor was saying, oh, the remaining 20 billion was meant to be an inducement for me to do this and that for the presidency. One of that was to help them rearrange and restructure the APC in Oyo State. I mean, the question was from where to where? A sitting PDP governor to restructure the APC in Oyo State. And he went further to say that at this media chat and said, look, Adebayo Adelabu has no capacity to do the job he's doing for you. And some people have called to say, look, the governor is pained about the fact that his own preferred candidate to be minister in Oyo State was not picked. and Adebayo Adelabu got the nod instead. There's a lot of things. So many things will still happen.
Okay, let me just say my bit on that one that you mentioned, because Fayose also mentioned the fact that if the governor can go on national TV to begin to talk about the personal meeting that he had with the president, then of course he's left him with no choice, than to also speak about that. He also mentioned that there are some other relief funds that was disbursed to your state government apart from this 50 billion naira. That's why I said, we are here for a long one. I mean, the next few weeks, because other revelations will come out, and then we get to know about those other relief funds. And one more thing, the essay to the governor said that, this is a retaliatory attack, against Governor Seyi Makinde, because he said openly that he's not going to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027.
I disagree.
Then it's a problem.
I disagree.
And apart from that, I think a lot of persons are asking that, okay, is Fayose doing this, because of the tussle between Wike and, Seyi Makinde? Because according to Fayose, he said, wherever Wike is, I will be there. I mean, that unstinting loyalty, that, Fayose is expressing towards Wike, I think is also something to look about. But regardless of all of those things, I think accountability is very key. We need to know. And then maybe Oyo State government should start, talking about other relief funds now before receipts would drop again about all of those things. Because, the people of your state, they deserve to know the truth.
You see, one thing I've always told people, especially when we talk about, administration, governance in Nigeria, is the fact that people are quick to blame the federal government about what happens in their domain, and it's quite easy to say, oh, whatever happens in Ibadan, or maybe in Esha, in Keshi, in Boho, or so many other places in Oyo State, the president gets the blame, but nobody points an accusing finger at the governor. Most of the times they escape that, and it's becoming a problem, because one of the things they do, I've always, been an advocate of, look, hold your governors responsible for things that happen within their domain. And I'm not saying the presidency can now, live a free life and say, oh, nothing is happening. We are no longer, going to be held responsible for anything that happens. But the truth of the matter is, majority of the problems being caused in Nigeria are being caused by state governors. I'm not talking about Oyo State alone now. I'm talking about all 36 states in Nigeria. You can imagine when the president came on board and said, look, I want local government autonomy for all local governments in Nigeria. It's not to take power away from you, but to make sure that we strengthen grassroots politics. That is just secondary. But then to make sure that development goes to every the nooks and crannies of Nigeria. But then, hey, the state governor said no. Most of them, they get these monies that belongs to the local government and then disperse peanuts. There's a place in Nigeria that, they get just 5 million naira. I don't want to mention them. They get 5 million naira as what you got impressed for each month. And then they are being told by their governor to say, look around you, find a road of so kilometers, and then you submit, and then we'll come and construct. Now, what that does for local communities is that economy in those areas, becomes a problem, because local contractors are not being encouraged. And two, the problem now is that the local government chairmen, they are helpless, because when you go to the offices and say, oh, we have a challenge in this social place, we have this, and so what they do is they write it down. So they put it in a request form and they send it to the governor. And unfortunately, it should not be so, because local government chairmen should be, at one point or the other, these people are also receiving billions and billions of naira on a monthly basis as allocation from the FEC account. So why can't they act? And I heard the governor say, look, because of mismanagement, we don't want them to mismanage funds.
No, they are closer to the people.
But they are closer to the people.
Honestly.
Let them mismanage the fund first, and let the EFCC do what they know how to do best.
Look at what is going on in Osun State now. The local government problem that happened,
Two factions.
I don't think we've been able to
APC
solve it properly
chairman,
or
PDP chairman.
It's not fair, actually, to think about the fact that, a lot of them are things to do. They have the ideas to actually
even the case of Osun has become a compound problem. Now, they have APC local government chairmen that were elected under the Boyega Oyetola administration. They were sacked. Ademola Adeleke, came in and said, look, I want to conduct another election, local government chairman under the PDP. And the governor himself now is a member of a court party. So it's a complex issue. I don't know how the law will be interpreted in Osun come 2026, how they will go unscathed with all that I'm saying now, because it's a compound problem. Even INEC will be having a headache right now.
Yes, but I think according to maybe essay to Adeleke now, he said that wherever the governor decides to go, his people will follow him there. So I really do not know, because I don't think some persons will be willing to go to a court. But at the end of the day, if they can, see that, okay, their governor, maybe let's just assume he wins the election, they have no choice than to follow him. But I mean, it's up to Osun State, and Osun is a very peculiar state, just like a lot of analysts would mention. We really cannot say what is going to happen. A lot of us did not even see it coming that Eleke will go to a court. We thought that PDP by now would have been able to resolve the problem. Up till now, PDP is still struggling. And then I don't even know, recently where Fayose was saying that PDP cannot work without us. That regardless of the fact that we were expelled alongside Wike, he said they are just playing. That PDP will not work without us. Is there a problem?
There's a level with which you must have worked, with which you must have contributed to your political party, that you have that sort of confidence that, look, whatever it is you have said, you are just playing. And, each time Fayose says that, each time Nyesom Wike says something about something like that, I'm not really surprised, but then it's just something that catches me unaware, because one thing is clear. Wike has been a member of the party for a long time, same as Fayose. They are the set of people you know in the PDP right now that have not left the party at one point or the other. Fayose, whether he's actively in politics or he's not actively in politics, he has always identified with the PDP. In fact, at the point when he was obnobbing with the president, some people said, oh, maybe Ayodele Fayose was going to the APC, but he made it clear that I can be with the president. He's my friend, he's my brother, I've known him, he's my leader, but the truth is I'm still a member of the PDP. Same with Wike. The only difference is that Wike took an appointment with the APC, and people are saying, oh, where is your loyalty? But then, I want to believe that whether you are a member of a political party, that should not stop you from taking an appointment with other administration. Because when we say, oh, want to run an inclusive government, what does it really mean, Yemi?
But it should not be at the expense of your political party. Yes, you can do that. You can take a but it should not be at the expense. I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say now. So
I think Wike is trying to exercise revenge. I think Wike is trying to exercise revenge due to the zoning system that happened during the last election. I mean, to be forewarned, sometimes when you tell people, oh, this is where this is going, and they fail to listen to you, and then when the problem comes, you are being blamed for it. Wike told them at that time, let this person resign. Let also person take over, or someone from this also region take over, and then we can have a well-balanced arrangement. We know the presidency goes to the south, the secretary goes to so place, and then it is well structured because we have a zoning system in the party. Nigeria does not have a zoning system. Nigeria is a country that wherever you are coming from, as long as you have the pedigree to become the president, you can run. But the problem is within the party, they feel like, oh, we don't want to be a party where it is just from one zone that continues to take the mantle of the presidency. So let's zone this, that, oh, once you have the party chairman, you cannot provide the secretary, another region has to provide the secretary, and then it was all agreed upon. Even the candidate of the party in the presidency will be decided based on where other members of the council, executive council of the party all come from. But then, at that point, it became a problem. Probably because they saw the prospect of Wike giving them problems at the presidency. Wike was sabotaged one way or the other. Atiku Abubakar got the ticket, and then Wike told them, now that you have the ticket, let's now restructure within the party. You release the party chairman, let someone else from another region take the party chairmanship, and then the secretary goes to another region, and then it was knocked one way or the other. They went into the election with that, and it felt like he had been cheated. So I cannot work with you if you cheat me. It means that every now and again when I work with you, you continue to cheat me. So I have to show you that I have the capacity to make sure that you don't win that election.
And that was
so he sabotaged
the G5. Though, unfortunately, it has scattered now.
The G5 now is, I don't know how much of a G it will be, but then it's a crisis already.
Honestly. And Fayose says something that he's not going to leave the PDP regardless, that he cannot join APC. But I don't want to say I have issues with that, but I've seen things in politics. Because there was a time that Peter Obi himself said, I will never leave Abga.
Well,
and successfully
people make claims.
So never say never.
They make claims that they usually cannot fulfill. They make claims because of what is with the heat of the moment. When things are happening, you want to be like, oh yes, I want to do this, I want to do that. It is until when realities turn on you that you realize, oh, I think the promise I made, I might not really be able to follow through. But hey,
VK was very firm from the start.
He told them, this is what I will do, and he did it.
And he did. He said it on national
and that's why sometimes I don't want to I don't want to blame Yesom Wike. I just want to believe that things do happen, and maybe they will find a way around it.
Definitely.
But this will be the convenient place to leave that this morning. Let's take weather report and see what the weather looks like across the country this morning. Okay, and we'll be starting with Abeokuta this morning in Ogun State. Weather in Ogun State currently is at 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. And later in the morning, it will rise to 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. It will remain partly cloudy in the afternoon at 35 degrees Celsius. Clear in the evening at 28 degrees Celsius. And overnight, it will be partly cloudy at 26 degrees Celsius in Abeokuta, Ogun State this morning.
Okay, let's cross over to Ibadan. Thank God we're in Ibadan as we speak. Weather this morning feels like 30 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to drop to 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 2%. In the afternoon, 35 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 24%. And in the evening, 27 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 6%. Overnight, 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 10%. That's what we have for Ibadan this morning.
Okay, moving on weather report this morning. That was Ibadan. And then let me take this from Lagos, the center of excellence this morning. Weather in Lagos currently feels like 27 degrees Celsius, just like Abeokuta this morning, partly cloudy. It will rise to 29 degrees Celsius later in the morning, partly cloudy. And by afternoon, it will be mostly sunny at 30 degrees Celsius. It will be clear in the evening at 28 degrees Celsius, while it will drop just a notch to 27 degrees Celsius overnight, and mostly clear right there in Lagos today.
Okay, let's cross over to Osogbo, Osun State. Weather this morning feels like 26 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to rise to 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 7%. In the afternoon, 35 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny around 0%. In the evening, 27 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 5%. And overnight, 25 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 10%. That's what we have for Osogbo, Osun State this morning.
Right, I'm moving on to the north central. I'll be taking this from Suleja, Niger State. Weather in Suleja this morning is currently sunny at 24 degrees Celsius. And by later in the morning, it will rise to 30 degrees Celsius, still sunny. It will remain sunny in the afternoon at 36 degrees Celsius, while in the evening and overnight, it will be clear at 27 degrees Celsius and 23 degrees Celsius, respectively, later today. All right, I think you will take Abuja before we move on.
All right, let's take ABJ. Weather this morning feels like 25 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to rise to 30 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the afternoon, 36 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the evening, we have 27 degrees Celsius, clear around 1%. And overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, clear around 2%. That's what we have for FCT Abuja this morning.
All right, and that's where we'll leave weather report this morning. Let's go on a quick break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. When we return, it is time for the big story. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominioncast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Good morning and welcome to The Big Story, where we take a deeper look at issues shaping our democracy and defining our future. Today we ask a critical question that sits at the heart of Nigeria's political conversation: inclusion or illusion, the real place of women and youth in Nigeria's political power structure. Despite forming the majority of Nigeria's population, women and young people remain largely absent from the corridors of power where key decisions are made. Are they truly being included or merely showcased for optics and our political convenience? That is the conversation we're having this morning on this show. Now, across election cycles, political parties and government institutions speak loudly about inclusion, equity, and representation. Quotas are announced, youth wings are formed, women are appointed as assistants or advisors. Yet, when it comes to real power, influence, and decision-making, the numbers tell a different story. Women make up nearly half of Nigeria's population, while young people constitute over 60% of what we currently have as population in Nigeria. However, their presence in elected offices, executive positions, and party leadership remains minimal. This raises an uncomfortable but necessary question. Is inclusion in Nigeria genuine, or is it simply symbolic? This morning on The Big Story, we examine whether existing political structures empower women and youth in deliberately keeping them on the margins. We explore the barriers, the policies, and the mindsets shaping political participation, and what must change if Nigeria is to truly reflect the voices of its people. And this morning, I'm joined by Farmer Omolara K. Busaris Benson, with whom we'll be making sense of this story. She's been here before, and we had a pending conversation that we need to conclude today. And together we'll be making sense of this particular topic. Good to have you again on this show.
Good morning. Good to be here again.
Good morning.
Compliments.
Compliments of the season.
Thank you.
You are glowing, so that must say, well, you have had quite an extended holiday.
Well, I've been in Ibadan for a couple of weeks, so I guess that's the secret.
Wow, that's really fine. So when we talk about inclusion, people have talked about tokenism. And these are two symbolic statements that you would make when you talk about inclusion of women, youth in active politics. Not just inclusion, because if you include them, you make them women leaders, you make them youth leaders, and then after the election is done, you realize the fact that you find people above their 60s at the corridor of power. And people who actually contributed to their election are there in one corner. They have been left aside. And it's only when empowerments come, like once in a year empowerment, then you now see them give them, sewing machines. You see, I get
Grinding machines.
Grinding machines. I was about to say that. And this sometimes infuriates people like you who feel like youth and women deserve more. How do you feel when you get to see this kind of empowerment, and then you know the capacity of the youth and women?
Thank you again, and it's good to be here. This is one of the saddest situations we have found ourselves as the people in this country. And there is nothing like inclusion. What we have is tokenism, like you have said. And I don't know if there is any word in English that is even below that. I'll say it in Yoruba, that's gbajensimi. You know what gbajensimi is? When you give someone crumbs from the crumbs. That is what we have now as that they're calling inclusion of women and youth in politics. And it even goes beyond that. Sadly, a lot of our elected House of Rep members or politically elected offices right now, that is even how they are treating the people in their constituency. But that's another topic for another day. Talking about the women and the youth inclusion, we are not being included. What we have now is making use of women and youth when it serves the purposes of those that are actually running for offices. And as I said last week, or when I was here the last time, you actually cannot 100% blame these people, because if everyone is given a whole, no one is going to you do stuff that would favor you. So what we have now is a sad and pathetic situation. That is why you see things like a man that is approaching his 60s or in his early 60s being made the youth leader in local governments or in wards. Why is this happening? Because this is someone that has been active in the political party or in his ward or whatever for years, but has been denied the opportunity to rise beyond a certain level because of the sad situation that we have. And it happens with the women as well. So we need to be more intentional about being a part of the decision making. And you can't be intentional about being a part of the decision making if you do not know your worth, what you carry, what are your rights, what can you get. Because if the youth and the women actually understand the worth, the value, and the power that they command, this once in 2 years or once in 1 year empowerment, they come to pin them down. Your bars will say, you tie down a goat, you refuse to feed the goat, and you don't want the goat to leave, to stray, because you know that, or to roam, because you know that you're coming back in another 4 years when you need that goat. So they tie them down and say, our leader, you be the woman leader. And then you look at it, excuse me, mommy is 70-something years. Why is she still the youth leader for ward or for local government? And then they come once every year. In some local government and federal constituency, it's actually like once in 2 or 3 years.
Now, some people have talked about real influence.
Yes.
And in some cases, when women eventually get to hold any form of power, sometimes they still need some sort of permission from the chairman to take decisions that really should lie within the confines of the law, the power that has been given to them.
It's because as we do not have that sisterhood, we don't have that understanding. I'll give you a very simple example. I have women calling me already saying, you're doing too much. You are a woman. You should know your place. So all of her, like they will say, it's a very, very deep rooted problems that we need to start from the foundation. We need to start making sure that we are molding our children that are coming after us to have the understanding of why it is important for us to be part of the decision making from the grassroots level. And speaking about what you just said now, it doesn't only happen within the political setting. I remember when I became the woman leader, the coordinator for women in agriculture, Oyo State. My chairman was against me calling meetings of my local government coordinators, women leaders. He said I must take permission from him because he's the chairman. And then I go, why do we then have a state woman leader in the constitution? So this problem that we have, I keep saying it, we can't tackle it without bringing on board the traditional rulers, the religious leaders. Because as a society, we have been brainwashed to limit women's interference in places of power, decision-making, and authority. And until we address this, we will keep having this conversation repeatedly. But I'd like to speak more about the empowerment thinking. It also boils down to our mentality and our orientation. Let me use, we have a senator for a particular senatorial district who comes home once every 2 years to give you half bag of rice and 10,000 naira. And you see our people praising
that he has done well.
That he has done well. That the person before him actually gives 2,000 naira.
Wow.
So what do you say to this sort of people? It goes down to our orientation, our mentality. We need to unlearn and relearn a lot of things. The women and youth in active politics sensitization that I am the convener of, that we started less than a year ago, already have generated a lot of enemies amongst the so-called elected officials. Because you see my women saying, no, we're not just here to sing. We also want to be part of decision making. We want to be able to come out,
sit at the
table. You see the youth as well, they started opening up WhatsApp group. They started reading more. They want to do more because now it's like a veil is being lifted from their faces. But then for that man who wants to go 5th or 4th or 5th or 6th time, and all they do is, like you said, bring grinding machine, sewing machine. When they really want to really go out, they bring not I pass my neighbor, the one after I pass my neighbor, okay, generators, and they give out a couple of freezers, you know, and this is why they start singing their praises. Those sort of people do not like me. They see me as a threat.
Mostly as an enemy.
As an enemy, exactly. So we have to start being intentional, every single Nigerian, because there is no magic to it. You know how Yorubas will say, if we don't act now, in another 10 years, the people we will have in offices that will determine how you and I live our lives would be worse than what we have today. We will be in a total shock.
Okay, so people like you have clamored for what we will call a quota system, right, or a reserved seat for women.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this question. Can quota system without corresponding power cause more harm than good?
Well, I support the quota system. I support the reserve seat bid for women because, like Yorubas will say again, ibikpelebe, Latin moleje. But like I said to people that are driving it, I had the opportunity of speaking with Right Honorable Kafila Togbara, and I said, look, even when we get this reserve seat bill that we're praying for, we have a lot of work to do, sensitizing our women and youth. A lot of people come to me, they say, you're doing all of this sensitization. Why aren't you running for offices? I'm not running for offices because I need more women like myself to support me in order for me to be able to thrive and survive in the office and to make the positive impact that I want to make. Imagine me being in an office whereby my women at the grassroots are already seeing me as doing too much because I'm a woman. I should stay in my place. So I support the quota system. I believe it can work. But at the same time, you know, we're taking it step by step. God willing, we're able to get this bill passed. Then we have a lot of sensitization to do with our women, and not only at the grassroots level. The women that are calling me to say that I've done too much, they finished from UIO. Some of
it's
them.
It's not really about education.
It's not really about education.
Mindset.
It's about the mindset and the way we have been formed traditionally, culturally, and religiously. That's why I said Olofa. It's a very, very deep conversation.
Now, some people have also raised questions about reducing what you call nomination fee for women and youths to maybe aid their inclusion in active politics.
You see, it's a two-way thinking, right? For me, if we say that we want to be equal, we want to be treated equally, if you have what it takes, buy the form. If the form is 5,000, for the love of God, buy it. If it's 5 million and you want to run for office, look for 5 million and buy it. And the truth be told, a lot of women can afford these forms.
The forms.
Even the youth. But another way to look at it is this: for a sector, or can I say for a gender that has been sidelined and has not been empowered truthfully for decades as a nation, it is only fair for us to be given that consideration. Because when a man comes out to run for an office, you see other men contributing and supporting him. When a woman comes out to run for an office, even if her friends want to support her, the husband will be like, oh no, that your friend, I don't want her there. Her own is too much. She's supposed to be looking after children. She's supposed to be doing this. So we don't get that support we need from ourselves as much as we get for as much as the men get, which is why I support at the same time that the passage should be made easier for women and for youth, because we don't get as much support as the men folk gets when it comes to
how
this.
important is mentorship, structured leadership for women and youth at this time?
Very, very important, extremely important. I am still going through mentorship. I have political mothers, I have political fathers, and I tell you, you see those things that, especially for those of us that went to school a little bit and we believe that we know it and what have you, when you start having a political mentor, you see that you actually are not smart. Because what you have is book smart.
Okay.
It's completely different.
And politics is different from academics.
Politics is opposite of everything that you think you know or you have learned. Especially with the unique way that our people at the grassroots level and the cultural, religion, and what's it called again? Tradition. The way it has molded us, and it has, because a lot of things that educationally and in terms of being civilized, that does not make sense, can either make you or make you again in politics. So it is very, very important to have a mentor.
Before we take the issue of growth in politics and how it affects women and youth, let me call the phone lines. You can join the conversation on this show this morning. And the phone lines to dial is +23491 65122 000. Okay, 09165 that's the studio line to that. Now, it's quite easy for an adult to come in, maybe brazen from America or the UK, with a lot of money, and then win the party over, which is what we just talked about, tokenism, and then he walks away and gets the ticket. But then, in some cases, it's quite difficult for women to grow gradually within the system. Most times, some of them are limited to local government roles, ward roles. And some youths are stuck with the issue of, errand boys, in some cases for politicians. So he does this for me, I send him to so-so place. How is it going to be easy for you to move across the ladder? Is there a structure in place to make sure that people move in some areas, especially in grassroots politics, so they can grow to that stage where they can also be reckoned with? And it's not really about money, it's about what you've been doing. Some people have been doing so much, but they are not getting the recognition they deserve.
Okay, so first of all, I don't like playing victim, which sometimes is termed to be damn stubborn. Women and youth need to stop playing the victim, and they need to start having the audacity. You have to start having the audacity. Freedom, power is not given to anyone. And I have this favorite quote I use from the Bible when I speak, that the kingdom of God that we are all thriving to get into, it suffers violence. And it's for violence, and the violent, they didn't take it by sitting in their house and sipping coffee. it is by force.
So what's your definition of force in this situation?
Oh, well, force is what I'm doing.
Okay.
I mean, I can say it
Advocacy.
on international television. Nobody can shut my mouth.
Okay.
And thank God for social media. You can't shut my mouth. You can only tell me to listen. I listen to your side and I say my part. I have the audacity, which has given me all sort of names, unpleasant names. It's okay. You know, everyone is entitled to their opinion of me. But our women and youth need to start having the audacity. They need to start having this mentality of what would people think of me? What would people say of me? There is a whole lot of our tradition and policies and religious belief that we actually need to look into. You have to, like the Thessalonians, like they say in the Bible, you have to.
I think we have a phone call. Hello, good morning. Hello. Yes, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Fahad.
Okay. Okay, I think we lost that call. So we can continue.
Yeah, you have to be able to say, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, this is where I'm going, and I'm going to have the audacity. Just think of it. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is they label you like I've been labeled. But it's okay. It's okay because either ways, anyway, people will have their opinion.
As long as you're making a change.
As long as you're making a change, the people will have their opinion of you. But our women, our youth are too timid. I said something the other time. I said the Stockholm syndrome. You know, when you have been intimidated, you have been brainwashed for so much, some of them don't even try to read for themselves. They just take it from people. Politicians are rogues. Politicians are thugs. Politicians, my own father is one of the founding members of PDP, and we used to abuse him. The only thing he has ever come home with, that the umbrella and his big notebook that he uses to take minutes at meetings. And then he will come. Today we distributed 1,000 bag of kidney. When you are distributing it, you forgot that you have children at home. I say no, what's for the public is for the public. He's a politician. I am his daughter. I am proud to be his daughter. But because every politicians have been labeled to be thieves, to be taught. We have some politicians that are actually politicians, and they're contented with what they have. My own political father, Honorable Ogudele, is one of them. He will tell you, call out that person that said I've collected money from him. But our youths don't even bother to do their own findings. Our women don't even bother to do their own findings. They get intimidated easily. You have to be intentional, and you have to have the audacity and say to yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen?
Okay, I think we have another caller. Hello.
Hello, this is Benga calling again.
Okay, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Your name and where you're where are you calling from, to be precise?
I'm calling from Lagos this morning.
Thank you for joining the show.
Yes. I've been online with you guys, and I think I like the angle that your guest Molara is coming from. But I have I don't know if this is really something that might be popular with many persons, but my question is this. We've had women representing at different arms and levels of government, especially in this country. I can name a few. There was a time Kemi Adeosun was Minister of Finance. We've had Obi Ezekwesili. We've had Natasha, as we speak currently, and a lot more others also at that level. But, my question will be that, are we really sure that women inclusion will make any difference? I understand that we don't have enough participation for women in politics and governance, but I want to be sure that we have enough policy prescription and the right mind to really do what governance is, to really do good by governance in Nigeria. Especially when women cry for this, which is okay. It's okay to agitate that you want more participation, you want more inclusion.
Okay, let me
put this straightforward.
Okay.
What is Omolara as a person and as a brand? What's she bringing on the table of governance? I'm not talking politics, I'm talking leadership. What are the things you think is wrong with the system that you want to correct? Just a few words, I would appreciate that.
Okay, we'll
Thank
take
you,
that
guys.
very quickly because of our time. So
Well,
you heard him clearly.
Yeah, Omolara is sensitizing our youth.
So
and
you chose
our
advocacy as a path.
Yes. So that when they get into offices, like you have said, they understand what leadership is. They understand what it takes, so they can lead and leave positive record, like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, like you have mentioned, and a lot of other women that had been able to get to the top and make a positive difference, a positive change, because we do not have that mentorship as women. A lot of men are being groomed for these offices. Okay. Women are not being groomed for these offices. They don't get equal chance. So I'm advocating, we're having a lot of sensitization and training to actually make our women and youth understand their role in active politics and leadership, and why their role and participation is important. That's what I bring to the table.
Okay, I think she's been quite clear about what her agenda is as regards women and youth inclusion in active politics
yes.
in Nigeria. But unfortunately, the time is fast spent on this show this morning. We are behind schedule already. But one thing is clear. She has made some claims. And as we conclude today's big story, there's a lot to take away from it. Thank you, Omolara Busari Vincent, for joining us on the show this morning. And we'll do hope to bring you here some other time to discuss extensively about some other wide range of topics that we can talk about. But then, one thing is clear. Inclusion cannot remain a slogan. For Nigeria's democracy to grow stronger, women and young people must move beyond the sidelines into spaces where power is exercised and decisions are made. The question is no longer whether women and youths are capable, but whether the political system is willing to make room for them beyond tokenism. True inclusion demands structural change, political will, and collective accountability. Thank you for staying with us on The Big Story this morning. The conversation doesn't end here. It continues in our homes, our communities, and at the ballot box. I am Samson Balogu, glad to join you on this show this morning. See you some other time. But of course, the show, Daybreak Live, continues shortly after.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Casts. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, and this will be the convenient point to draw the curtains on today's edition of this show. As I always say, champions are those who decide not to give up on their goals, aims, and aspirations. Until tomorrow, we shall be meeting you again another interesting and engaging edition of Daybreak Live. Samson Balogun is my name. I say keep being good out there, keep being safe. Bye for now.
All right, that was an interesting conversation, and I do believe that is going to yield positive result going forward.
Absolutely.
My name is Oluwayemi Adelakwa. It's Monday. Please be safe. Thank you for joining. Bye for now.